noticed that some people seem to absorb knowledge as if they had a superpower.
They learn, master, innovate, while most of us remain stuck in sameness, struggling to move forward. What is it that they know that you do not know? Today I will reveal the secret method of polymaths, those brilliant minds who mastered several skills and changed the world. And I will show you how you can do it too, even starting from zero. If topics like psychology, philosophy, and the darkness of the human soul interest you, subscribe to the channel now. Mastering. Any skill begins long before opening a book or attending a class. It begins inside your mind, with the mindset you cultivate. Many people believe intelligence is an innate gift, something we are born with or without. If you think like that, you are already placing yourself in a trap that limits your potential. The truth is that the great polymaths of history, people like Leonardo da Vinci, Benjamin Franklin, and Marie Curie, were not born with magical talents. They simply adopted a growth mindset, one that sees learning as a constant journey, not as a fixed point of arrival. This growth mindset is the foundation of the entire mastery process. It translates into a deep belief that your skills can be developed with effort, practice, and time. It does not matter where you are now. What matters is your willingness to transform. This is the crucial difference between those who learn and those who remain stuck. Polymaths see learning not as a fearful challenge, but as an exciting adventure, a tireless exploration of the unknown. They embrace curiosity as the fuel that drives this entire journey. But it is not enough to be curious. You need to have an insatiable curiosity, one that is not satisfied with superficial or easy answers. The great minds of history did not wait for someone to hand them ready knowledge. They went after it, questioned, experimented, and forged their own paths. Leonardo da Vinci, for example, saw no limits between disciplines. For him, art, science, anatomy, and engineering were parts of the same puzzle. This integrated vision is only possible when you have an open mind, one that does not cling to categories or labels, but sees the world as an interconnected whole. Another fundamental characteristic of the polymath mindset is intellectual humility. Recognizing that we do not know everything may seem simple, but in practice, it is one of the greatest challenges for the human ego. Feeling ignorant is not a failure, but an opportunity to grow. It is this recognition that keeps the polymath always moving, always willing to learn and reinvent. The Dunning-Kruger effect shows us how many people, knowing little, end up overestimating their knowledge, while true masters, knowing the immensity of knowledge, understand how much they still need to advance. This humility is directly linked to the ability to accept error and failure as essential parts of learning. Mastering any skill requires patience to fail, adjust the course, and persist. Thomas Edison, who perfected the incandescent light bulb after countless attempts, said he did not fail. He just discovered thousands of ways that do not work. This resilience in the face of failure is one of the most striking traits of polymaths. Each mistake is a step to the next level, never a reason to give up. Moreover, the polymath mindset involves understanding that knowledge is not something you simply absorb passively. You need to be active, question, experiment, and apply. This active stance transforms information into practical wisdom. Those who think learning is just memorizing facts are far from true mastery. Polymaths build a deep and dynamic relationship with what they study, always seeking to transform learning into action and real impact. Another crucial point is the priority given to learning within the daily routine. Many people say they do not have time to study or develop new skills. What differentiates polymaths is not having extra hours in the day, but the ability to integrate learning into small moments of everyday life. Whether listening to podcasts on the commute, reading for a few minutes before sleep, or replacing distractions with useful content, they make learning a natural habit, not an exhausting task. Finally, the polymath mindset is a choice, a conscious decision to move away from a fixed and limited mindset, to embrace a lifestyle where constant learning is the rule. It is not about accumulating titles or being an expert in everything, but about keeping the mind open, adaptable, and constantly evolving. When you cultivate this mindset, mastering any skill stops being a distant dream and becomes a tangible reality. The first step to becoming a true polymath is therefore to assume this mindset as your unwavering guide. What is the biggest obstacle you face right now to master a new skill, and how do you think you can overcome it? Write your answer here in the comments. If you think the path to mastering a skill is a straight line of successes and achievements, it is time to change that view. Failure is not the opposite of success, but rather an indispensable part of it. All great polymaths, and in fact, all masters in any field, went through countless failures before reaching mastery. Thomas Edison, for example, experimented thousands of times before creating the functional incandescent light bulb. He did not see his attempts as failures, but as essential steps to reach the desired outcome. Understanding this truth changes everything, because the fear of making mistakes is what paralyzes most people. Anxiety in the face of error causes many to give up at the first obstacle, abandon their dreams, and let their talent lie dormant. Failure is in reality valuable feedback, a clear indication of what still needs to be improved. Polymaths see mistakes with different eyes. They learn from every stumble, adjust their strategies, and move forward with more strength and knowledge. Moreover, failure brings humility and realism. It breaks the illusion of perfection and shows us that the learning journey is made of ups and downs. This experience strengthens character and builds the resilience necessary to face greater challenges. Instead of discouraging, the polymath embraces uncertainty because they know that only those who expose themselves to risk truly grow. It is this willingness to face the unknown that differentiates those who accomplish from those who only dream. But failing does not only mean technical errors. Often failure is linked to habits, discipline, and mindset. People who do not have an organized learning system tend to get lost, procrastinate, and give up. Failure in this context is a sign that something needs to be adjusted, whether it is the way of studying, time management, or motivation itself. Polymaths recognize these signs quickly and adapt because they know rigidity is the enemy of progress. Another important point is that constant failure, when well interpreted, promotes innovation. Great scientific discoveries, technological advances, and works of art were born from frustrated attempts and experiments without immediate success. Error opens doors to new perspectives and unexpected possibilities. For a polymath, each failure is an invitation to think differently, to connect ideas in unprecedented ways, and to find solutions no one had imagined before. Persisting in the face of failure requires a solid mindset and effective techniques to deal with frustration. One of the secrets is to demystify error, treating it as a natural and necessary process, not as a personal failure or cause for shame. This attitude reduces pressure, frees creativity, and opens space for experiments that lead to true mastery of skills. The polymath's journey is marked by cycles of trying, erring, and continuous adjustment. Furthermore, social support and the environment you are inserted in deeply influence your relationship with failure. Surrounding yourself with people who value learning, accept mistakes, and encourage persistence makes all the difference. Cultivating a support network is fundamental to maintaining motivation and exchanging valuable learning. Polymaths do not walk alone. They share their challenges and victories with a community that understands the value of the process. Finally, it is essential to internalize that failure does not define who you are, but rather what you do from it. Every time you get up after a mistake, you are building your mastery, your resilience, and your confidence. This is the essence of the Polymath method, transforming difficulties into learning and learning into power to master any skill. If you truly want to evolve, you need to embrace failure as your ally, because it is the only sure path to true success. And mastering any skill does not depend only on willpower or momentary talent. It depends, above all, on solid systems that sustain your learning process daily. And these systems begin with caring for your body. The brain is an organ that consumes a lot of energy and needs to be in ideal conditions to function at its maximum potential. Sleeping poorly, eating inadequately, and living in a constant state of stress are powerful enemies of focus, memory, and creativity. A healthy mind is born from a healthy body. This concept, known since antiquity with the famous motto, mens sana in corpore sano, is the pillar for any modern polymath. Regular physical exercise increases blood flow, improves brain oxygenation, and helps regulate mood, all crucial factors to maintain concentration and motivation during hours dedicated to learning. Ignoring these basic aspects is the same as trying to drive a car with an empty tank. But it is not enough to take care of the body alone. It is necessary to create an efficient routine that makes learning a natural habit, not an exhausting effort. Daily discipline is what transforms small actions into great achievements. Polymaths do not wait for inspiration or momentary motivation. They build systems that keep them moving even on difficult days. This daily consistency is the true strength behind mastery, much more than any flash of talent. Organizing your time intelligently is one of the main pillars of this discipline. Effective time management is not about working more hours, but about working with more focus. Techniques such as the Pomodoro method, which alternates periods of intense concentration with short breaks, help maximize productivity and avoid mental fatigue. Blocking fixed times to study or practice a skill makes learning an unnegotiable priority, not a task to be pushed aside. Furthermore, structured learning systems, such as spaced reviews and deliberate practice, are essential to consolidate knowledge. Spaced review prevents information from quickly fading from memory, reinforcing what was learned at strategic intervals. Deliberate practice focuses on identifying specific weaknesses to transform them into strengths. These proven methods ensure that learning is deep and lasting, not superficial and fleeting. Discipline also requires that you learn to control distractions, especially in a world where technology offers endless possibilities for escape and procrastination. Creating a study environment free of interruptions is a system in itself. This might mean turning off notifications, using apps to temporarily block social media, or choosing a reserved place for learning. The more you eliminate distractions, the faster your brain enters the flow state, where learning becomes natural and enjoyable. Finally, the true magic of systems lies in their ability to transform learning into a sustainable routine for life. Unlike desperate and poorly structured attempts that lead to burnout, well-built systems balance effort and rest, challenge and recovery. They allow you to advance even when motivation is lacking, because they become part of your lifestyle, something you simply do without second thoughts. If you really want to master any skill, it is not enough to want or try. You must create intelligent systems that take care of your body, organize your routine, and maintain your discipline. This is the power that distinguishes an ordinary learner from a true polymath, someone capable of absorbing and applying knowledge with consistency, focus, and efficiency. With these systems, mastery will not be just a goal, but a natural consequence of your daily life. Learning efficiently is the key that transforms dedicated hours into concrete results. It is not just about studying more, but about studying better, with methods that enhance assimilation and application of knowledge. One of the most important strategies for this is active learning. Instead of passively consuming information, such as watching videos or reading texts without interaction, the efficient learner transforms content into action, writing, practicing, explaining to others, or applying it in real situations. Another fundamental method to accelerate learning is spaced repetition. Scientific studies show that our brain tends to forget a large part of what we learn if we do not review the content at strategic intervals. Instead of studying everything at once and then quickly forgetting, distributing reviews over time helps fix the information in long-term memory, creating a solid base for lasting knowledge. Active recall is also a powerful tool. Instead of passively rereading the same material, Try to remember the information without looking. Question yourself about what you studied. Write summaries from memory or explain the topic to someone else. This mental effort to retrieve content strengthens neural connections and improves comprehension, making learning deeper and more resistant to forgetting. Deliberate practice is another essential principle. This means focusing exactly on the points where you still have difficulties, creating specific challenges to overcome these barriers. It is not enough to repeat what you already master. Real growth happens when you leave the comfort zone and work on weaknesses with attention and purpose, adjusting technique and seeking constant feedback. Moreover, mixing different formats and sources of learning can speed up the process. For example, complementing reading with videos, podcasts, practical exercises, and discussions broadens understanding and keeps interest active. This diversity stimulates the brain to make varied connections, avoiding boredom and increasing motivation to keep evolving. Another often neglected aspect is the importance of teaching as learning. Explaining what you have learned to others, whether in conversations, texts, or videos, forces your brain to organize and simplify ideas. This not only reveals points that still need better understanding, but also solidifies knowledge by transforming it into something clear and accessible. Finally, using techniques to organize knowledge, such as mind maps, structured notes, or the Zettelkasten method, helps interconnect concepts and build a network of information that facilitates creativity and practical application. These strategies allow transforming isolated learning into an integrated vision, a fundamental characteristic of polymaths. Applying these strategies with discipline and consistency is what differentiates superficial learning from true mastery. Mastering any skill is a dynamic process, which requires constant adaptation and conscious choice of the best tools to accelerate your development. With these strategies, you not only learn faster, but learn better, and that is what really matters. What truly differentiates a polymath is not the simple accumulation of knowledge, but the unique ability to connect distinct fields to create something new and meaningful. This skill of making invisible links between seemingly disconnected areas is the engine of innovation and genius. Leonardo da Vinci was not just a brilliant artist. He united art, anatomy, engineering, and philosophy to conceive revolutionary ideas that surpassed the limits of his time. Connecting knowledge requires developing what is called associative thinking, the ability to see patterns and relationships where others see isolated fragments. Steve Jobs, for example, revolutionized the technology industry by applying design and calligraphy concepts to the development of Apple computers, creating interfaces that combine functionality and aesthetics in an unprecedented way. This integrated vision is only possible when learning goes beyond rigid specialization and becomes interdisciplinary. But it is not enough to just consume diverse information. It is necessary to organize it so that it can be easily accessed and combined. Intelligent note-taking systems, such as the Zettelkasten method, are powerful tools that allow creating a structured network of ideas, revealing hidden connections and stimulating creative insights. With this type of organization, knowledge ceases to be a heap of data and transforms into a living ecosystem. The true polymath understands that innovation is born from the tension between different perspectives and fields. By integrating concepts from varied areas, they create solutions that no one could develop within the limits of a single specialty. Nikola Tesla, for example, crossed electrical engineering, mechanics, and physics to invent technologies that today seem to come from a science fiction book. This transversality is what opens paths for real progress. Moreover, the ability to innovate is directly linked to the attitude of not accepting ready-made answers and the courage to explore the unknown. Polymaths become intellectual explorers, always questioning, experimenting, and reformulating concepts. This willingness to challenge the status quo is what puts them ahead, even in times of intense specialization and fragmentation of knowledge. But to truly connect knowledge and innovate, It is also essential to apply knowledge in practice, transforming ideas into concrete actions. Learning is only complete when it generates impact in the real world, whether through inventions, creative solutions, artistic works, or social transformations. Producing, creating, and contributing with what was learned is what makes the polymath not just an accumulator of information, but an active agent of change. Finally, it is worth remembering that today's world, despite valuing specialists, is increasingly thirsty for thinkers who can transit between fields, break barriers, and integrate knowledge. Interdisciplinarity and creativity are valuable currencies to solve the complex challenges of our time. Being a polymath is, therefore, not only a way to master skills, but a strategic necessity to innovate and stand out. The true power of the polymath lies in their ability to see the whole, to build bridges between distinct worlds, and thus transform ideas into innovation that impacts lives. It is this broad vision, this courage to explore the unknown, and this discipline to act that make the polymath a timeless and essential figure for any era. Now, with this understanding, it is up to you to take the next step and start building your own path of genius. We live in the information age, where knowledge is literally one click away, thanks to technology. This creates an unprecedented opportunity for those who want to learn and master any skill. Never before in human history have we had such easy access to courses, books, videos, podcasts, and specialized communities. Technology, when used intelligently, can be the greatest ally of the modern polymath, expanding their ability to absorb, organize, and apply knowledge. However, this same technology can become a devastating trap. Social networks, constant notifications, and the overload of stimuli created to capture our attention turn learning into a constant battle against distraction. How many times have you picked up your phone to look something up quickly and ended up lost in hours of meaningless browsing? What seemed like a powerful tool ends up becoming a silent villain that consumes your time and mental energy. The difference between those who master diverse skills and those who only consume content lies in how they use this technology. A polymath knows how to create a strategic digital environment where technology serves their goals, not the other way around. This includes using filters to block social networks during study periods, disabling unnecessary notifications, and setting fixed times for learning, turning the use of technology into a conscious and focused act. Moreover, technology offers tools that facilitate knowledge organization, such as note-taking apps, software for creating mind maps, platforms for online courses, and virtual study groups. These tools allow the creation of a personalized system to record, connect, and review what you learn, boosting memory and creativity. This way, you build a solid foundation that grows in a structured and consistent manner. Another important point is the gamification of learning. Many modern apps and platforms use game elements to make studying more engaging, motivating, and efficient. Points, levels, challenges, and rewards create a fun experience that encourages continued learning. Incorporating these techniques can turn a previously tiresome task into something enjoyable, increasing productivity and knowledge retention. But even with all these advantages, technology does not replace the need for discipline and focus. It is just a tool, powerful but passive. True mastery depends on your ability to control the use of these tools, avoiding the traps of procrastination and dispersion. The biggest challenge is maintaining attention amid the sea of information and stimuli, choosing what truly contributes to your growth. To overcome this challenge, it is essential to create healthy digital habits. This involves not only controlling usage time, but also consciously choosing the content and sources you consume. Following channels, authors, and courses aligned with your goals, and avoiding passive and scattered consumption makes all the difference for those who truly want to master a skill and not just accumulate superficial information. Finally, technology is a double-edged sword. It can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy, depending on how you use it. The modern polymath not only accesses information, but filters, organizes, and applies knowledge strategically, using technology to enhance their learning journey. Controlling this tool is, therefore, an essential part of the Polymath method and an indispensable skill for success in the digital age. Now that you know the Polymath method, the mindset, the role of failure, the importance of systems, efficient strategies, the power of connecting knowledge, and the intelligent use of technology, the real question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Genius is not a privilege of the few, but a daily choice that demands courage, discipline, and action. The path to mastering any skill is open, but only those who decide to take the first step and persist despite obstacles advance. If you are ready to leave mediocrity behind and become a versatile mind capable of transforming the world around you, subscribe to the channel now and activate the notification bell to not miss any content that will accelerate your journey. In the next video, we will reveal a little-known secret that can forever change the way you learn, a revelation few are prepared to hear. Stay tuned because the next step of this journey could be decisive for you. If this video changed the way you think about intelligence and power, leave your like now and subscribe to the channel to not miss the next hidden secrets of philosophy. Some think this was the end, but beware, the war is not over yet. There are still things left unsaid. These 2 videos in front of you are not here by chance. What if everything you believe about yourself is just a reflection of someone else's gaze? Click now on one of the videos on the side and start breaking that mirror. You will have to take the risk to click. So which one will you choose?